Okay, let's get the ball rolling. Yes, my name is Art Manville. Just going to launch the live broadcast here. So I'd like to thank you all for coming on the webinar today. Got a great bunch of guests lined up. This is going to be a lot of fun. There's nothing like hearing about how people's lives have changed with our incredible products. And yeah, that's some pictures of Terry and I there in various forms, of course. Art and his favorite slippers. I'm shopping for new slippers. I've almost worn these slippers out, these 500K slippers, and going out shopping for those. And yes, we've had an incredible time with Xango. There we are at the Turtle Bay Resort last June. And thought I'd update you on what's going on. A lot of people wondering about what's going on in Art's garden, our organic garden that we planted this year up on the top of the property. And there's a picture of me with a bunch of tomatoes. Now, for those of you that have not ever grown your own tomatoes, you don't have any idea what you're missing. The stuff that you taste is not like the stuff that we grow, and most gardeners know that. And there's a close-up from our greenhouse, just a few of the tomatoes from our greenhouse. And so I've been having lots of tomato sandwiches. And so there we go. There's a picture of Joe Morton, and he is the founder, and he's the guy that really started the whole thing, isn't he? Joe grew up in the health and wellness industry and always had in his mind that he would love to bring a new category-creating product to market. He was working with another company in Asia about, oh gosh, it's probably close to 12, 13 years ago now, when he stumbled across this mangosteen fruit. Here you see it growing in one of the markets in Asia, mostly Malaysia, and Thailand is where our mangosteen comes from. And he stumbled across it at a little roadside stand. He had some. They were raving about this mangosteen fruit and how it was used for hundreds of years for all kinds of things. And Joe just happened to have a brother, Gordon Morton, who is a professor at the University of Utah Medical School, and asked him to look and see if there was any science to back up all of these health claims that they were making about the mangosteen in Asia. And what they discovered was there's something in it that makes it unique called xanthones. And xanthones are what you will not find in any other juice on the market. It's exclusive to the mangosteen in any quantity at all. It has been used, of course, in centuries of folk medicine. We've talked about this. Antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory. It's been used for dysentery, wound healing, digestive aid, anti-fatigue, fever control. It's anti-parasitic as well. And so there's over 200 known xanthones, and over 40 of them are contained within this mangosteen fruit. Now, what is it about this fruit that is causing all of these spectacular health benefits? Yes, Xango, the corporation, has probably sold at least $1.5 billion of their juice, their flagship product, Xango juice. Now, why would people be spending money on a product like that? And I think the answer is in inflammation. Silent inflammation is in all of the news. This is Time Magazine article talking about the secret killer, and you can see some of the quotes on here. In other words, chronic inflammation may be the engine that drives many of the most feared illnesses of middle and old age. And inflammation is probably the background and driving force behind all major age-related diseases. And all of these diseases that you see here on the right-hand side are all contained within this article. And so silent inflammation is a problem, and it just so happens that the mangosteen fruit and these xanthones are some of the world's greatest natural anti-inflammatories. At the same time, the drug market, the anti-inflammatory drug market over the last number of years has been under scrutiny for their dangerous side effects. We have a natural alternative. Here's another one, how inflammation can cause heart disease, from Newsweek magazine, and really explaining how doctors used to think that clogged arteries were caused by a buildup of bad cholesterol. As it turns out, it's the body's response to LDL in the form of inflammation causes most of the damage. So we have a natural anti-inflammatory here, and I think it's an antioxidant, of course. It's anti-this and anti-that. I think it's the anti-inflammatory, really, that has got all of the buzz out there. So, yes, and it's not just the xanthones. Naturally, we talk about the xanthones the most because that's what's unique about our fruit. But many of the other nutrients that other juices, for instance, that they talk about. I mean, proanthocyanidins, what you find in grape seeds and grape skin and pine bark, all of that, we have that same nutrient in here. Catechins, which is the thing in green tea, that is also in the mangosteen. Polysaccharides, which you'll find in things like aloe vera, also in the mangosteen. Plant sterols, and of course, fiber. So anyway, lots of great things in this. And, we could talk all day about the science. I mean, there's been hundreds of studies done on the mangosteen fruit. And if you go to pubmed.com and type in mangosteen and type in xanthones, you'll see all of the preliminary research. But to me, the greatest laboratory in the human body is the human body. And why not try it for yourself and see what it can do for you? So, got our first guest on here. Actually, I think, Terry, you're going to talk a little bit, and then we're going to introduce Eva. Just give us some of your thoughts about the mangosteen fruit and what you kind of results you've seen with it.
Well, those last 6 years that Art and I have been involved with Xango, it has just been truly amazing to hear all of the great stories and the lives that we're changing out there in the world. I mean, you're touching people's lives, and I think that's the thing that we always have to remember. We always have to remember that we're changing people's lives. We're helping people get over some of their diseases or some of their chronic fatigue or whatever is happening in their body. Remember, we're rebalancing the body, and so we're very excited to be a part of this great company.
And we'd like to invite our friend Eva Marie Sarda. Actually, Eva we've known for over 20 years. They're 100Ks, her and Yvonne. Yvonne is at a meeting today. So, Eva, are you there?
I sure am, Art. Thank you so much for having me on this call. I feel very privileged to be on here. Yes, Yvonne and you introduced us to the Xango juice, you and Terry. I don't know, I think it's about 6 years ago now, I think. And, of course, Yvonne is a scientist, so when he heard about the Xango juice and xanthones, we had never heard, what on earth are xanthones? We'd never heard of it before. We want to keep ourselves healthy, so we take vitamins and minerals, and then Yvonne actually went on PubMed. He looked up all the science behind it, and we realized it's about 30 years of hardcore research, and we thought, wow, anti-inflammatory, antiviral, anti-tumor, we better add this to our nutrition. And so we just started drinking the juice for prevention because, as you know, we know that inflammation is the root cause of diseases. We had never thought of it doing anything in particular in our bodies except that it was working and not feeling any pain, in other words. But Yvonne has allergies. When he mows the lawn, we live on 3 acres, and every time he mowed the lawn, he had to suit up because he's moving around fir trees and just really breaks out really badly, and his eyes start to wheeze. And so after being on the juice for a while, he was mowing the lawn. He said, "Oh, that's really strange. I don't seem to be breaking out anymore. My eyes aren't teary-eyed." And then so he called you up, Art, and he said, "Does it work for allergies?" And you said, "Of course." And then, of course, as the years went on, we got our cholesterol. Our cholesterol went down. Mine went down 50 points. Yvonne's went down as well. And then Yvonne actually had his blood tested for inflammation in his arteries. It's actually 0. And then as years progressed, he worked on the plantar wart that he had actually had for over 20 years. And then he worked topically for burns and then for insect bites and all kinds of things. So basically what I do tell people is that Xango is the only juice you need in your medicine cabinet, except you just keep it in the fridge because it works with so many different issues.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Eva. Great story, and thanks for helping us out. I think we might hear from you a little bit later. Let's go on to our next guest, Carol Plant. Are you the Carol?
I am, Art.
Oh, Carol, I think that's a picture of you down here, right? There you go.
I don't see myself. I'm on a dial-up. We're up at our son's, but...
Okay, yeah, this is Carol here with Krista and Terry and myself and Deb Pazzo from Ontario. And Carol, really, you have a phenomenal story. Why don't you just cover what was happening with you before Xango and what's happened since, and just tell folks, and then we'll get into your little recent story, okay?
Okay, all right. Thanks, Art. And I, too, would like to thank you, even though I'm terribly nervous. I'm thanking you for the privilege to be on here. When we first heard about Xango, I signed up because my daughter, the way she found it, and that's another story. I had no idea what surprise blessing was in store for me, because I've had Crohn's disease for over 40 years. and I got to the point where every joint in my body was affected, which made moving and everything very, very painful. I had excruciating pains following almost every time I tried to eat anything. This resulted in a couple of times where I hemorrhaged, and I was more dead than alive. I had been forced to go on dangerous drugs where if my Crohn's didn't cause my demise, the drugs would. I had to be always so careful everything I ate. Sometimes it didn't matter what I ate. Then I was introduced to the mangosteen juice from Xango, and within a couple of weeks, I noticed my joint pains were lessening. I could eat. I gained strength and weight. That was not the great part, but after taking Xango for about 6 months, I felt so much better. I don't remember when I could eat anything that I just felt like. I thank God for Xango, for the founders, and every leader involved.
Wow, that's a great story. I know how debilitating that disease can be, and it's sort of easy to sort of talk about it, but people with that condition, you just cannot live a normal life. Your whole life is kind of run around that problem, isn't it?
Revolves around where the washrooms are.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Very, very stressful. So, Will, you had a really interesting story. I wanted you to tell this, Carol, because I don't think a lot of listeners on the call today are aware of sort of how you can use the juice for an emergency situation. So why don't you talk about that?
Okay. My husband was up where we are now and backed up visiting our sons, and I was by myself, and I had an acute pain in the middle of the night. It reminded me so much of the pain that I endured for so many years before Xango. I was afraid to go to sleep. I didn't know, what was happening because Dawn was the one who found me on different occasions. I couldn't move without great, great pain. But slowly, I remembered something that was in my fridge. And Eva Marie, you're so right. It's only juice that we need. But I slowly and gently rolled out of my bed. I took a third of a bottle of juice that night, and then I gently rubbed pericarp oil on my tummy. So I was getting that inside and out, and I did that 3 more times. I took a bottle of juice between middle of the night and noon, and by afternoon, my pain was just about gone. Actually, this could happen before, and by nighttime it would be back, but I didn't have it. It just didn't come back. I am just so thankful. I wouldn't want to be without my juice, my pericarp oil, or any of the products that Xango has introduced to us.
Well, thanks a lot, Carol. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story and your heart, and we just really appreciate you and all that you've been doing to help Trish and her team build their business. Thanks a lot, Carol.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.
Wow,
Thank you.
Incredible story. And now our next guest is Bonnie L. from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Are you there, Bonnie?
I'm here, Art. How are you?
Hey, Bonnie. Great. It's always been fun talking with you and emailing you and just reading your story. Wow, I didn't know. Why don't you just go ahead and take a couple of minutes and talk about it?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on the call. I'm originally from Edmonton, Alberta, and I live in Ottawa, Ontario now. I was introduced to Xango last year in October 2008. In fact, I initially began using our juice, to be honest, just because I wanted to try something new, and I loved the taste. And the man who introduced it to me told me that it was a natural anti-inflammatory, and I considered myself pretty healthy, working with both a nutritionist and a fitness trainer, and I love trying exotic foods, so I loved the idea of a power food. But I had a poor appetite for years and years, and generally I always felt really challenged in getting enough to eat when I was training. And I thought, if there was a chance of also benefiting, my painful muscles, because I had fibromyalgia, but was told, you got to live with it, just train and you'll get over it. I thought, well, this will be safer because I was using over-the-counter drugs to relieve the inflammation on a daily basis, so taking Tylenol, 222s, aspirin. And I knew that it was doing damage to my liver, but wow, was I ever surprised, Art. Like after a week of drinking the juice, that fibro fog lifted, and I was running the stairs in my home again. And what was interesting was I didn't even know I had the fibro fog because I didn't know that was a result of fibromyalgia. I just thought that was part of getting old. I'd been having some trouble with my memory the past 5 years, but I thought it was just because of stress, anxiety, a recent family trauma we experienced, and just being tired, being a mom, having a son. My son had moderate autism.
Oh, this is your son here in the picture, right? What's his name?
He's on the right-hand side. That's my son, Jade, and the other guy's the dog.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was feeling this mental clarity, and I had the juice out on the counter one day, and my son says, "Gee, that looks good," and he pours himself a huge glass, and I said, "Oh, you actually don't need that much, Jaden. You only need a little bit." So he took some, and within about a week, it was incredible. My son started making eye contact with me again, and he hadn't been making eye contact with me for a long period of time, for about 3 years. And so one day, I'm just reading my notes. Sorry, here I kind of jumped ahead here. My son came home from school one day, and he told me for the first time in his life, probably since before kindergarten, he says, "Mom, everybody loves me." And coming from a kid who was always the smallest, he was bullied at school, he dreaded school, he was always sick, he always felt picked on by teachers and friends. He was smiling with this big grin, ear to ear, and he said to me, "I'm going to go to my room and do my homework." My jaw just dropped. I called my sponsor, and I said, "Okay, I'm in. I need to order 2 cases of juice. This is incredible. My son's doing his homework."
And it says in here that he would typically miss 1 week of school every month, and now he's only missed 4 days of school this past year. That's amazing.
It's changed our life. Like, Xango is brilliant. Like, he used to have pneumonia typically once, twice a year. He would get fevers. He caught everything from school. It wasn't easy, I'll say, the Xango trip, because the first month or two we had to rebuild his immune system from scratch, but he is so strong, so happy.
Hey, well, thanks a lot for that, Bonnie, and I know we're going to be talking about El Aviv in a second, and you've got a quick little El Aviv story that you could share before we move on to the next guest.
Okay, thanks. You
Go
want
ahead.
to share it right now?
Oh. Yeah, do it now.
Okay. Well, as you heard, like I had relief from most of my fibromyalgia symptoms, and my son was really getting healthy, and then we introduced the Glimpse nutritional skincare, and I just thought nothing could get any better than that. And then El Aviv was introduced, and I knew that I had probably some issues with my hormones, because my personal fitness trainer had told me the reason I have this little tire tube around my middle was because of cortisol, the increase of cortisol. And I thought, well, that's just not fair, because I'm working out all the time. How come I can't get rid of this little tire tube? I've had it for about 3 years, and everybody told me, well, that's part of getting older. Well, I started the El Aviv, and right away what I noticed was I was doing my push-ups and my resistance training, and I had to put in a lot less effort. I could double my training time. My breathing was so much easier, and I wasn't gasping for air at the time after my cardio workouts anymore. So by the end of the first week taking El Aviv, 2 capsules a day, I finally understood what vigor was. I didn't understand. I couldn't remember what it was like to have that vigor. And my strength, my drive, my joy, it was like everything woke up one Sunday morning, and I was, usually it takes me a couple hours, I ponder over my to-do list. What am I going to do today? Especially on a Sunday, I kind of just hang out and relax. Well, that Sunday I mowed my lawn, and I used to think, oh, my lawnmower, it weighs a ton, I'm going to have to upgrade and get a new lawnmower. It's so heavy, it takes me forever. Well, this day, it was like a feather. From now on, I mow my lawn, and it's so easy. After I mowed it, I thought, well, that must be the El Aviv. I'm feeling so happy. And I phoned my upline, and I phoned Eva Marie, and I said, wow, I'm thinking faster, I'm moving faster, my lawnmower is lighter. Life is good. I'm happy. This El Aviv is amazing.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Bonnie. Really appreciate you coming on. And
thanks, Bonnie. That was a great story. Wonderful.
Yes.
Fantastic story. Thanks a lot, Bonnie, for that. We'll be seeing you soon. And yes, so that's all about the juice, isn't it? Amazing. Think about that. And so from the inside out with the juice, now we're going from the outside in with our new product, recently released, actually. Well, I guess it's getting close to a year now. Time flies. Glimpse. and phenomenal product line, Terry. I know we are not going to get into all the individual products and what they do, but you've been on many, of course, products over the years. And how do you think Glimpse it compares?
Yeah, thanks, Art. You know, I have very sensitive, dry skin, thin skin. So I have all of the no-no skins. My skin has always been extra sensitive. I have to be very careful with anything that I put on it. And I have tried every product out there you can imagine. And, you know, nothing ever really seemed to work for me. So when Beverly Hollister was actually going to be bringing this product to market, I knew I was going to be a really good guinea pig. I said, Beverly, if you can get this product past my skin, you'll know you've got something great. And so sure enough, Art and I did meet her before it was launched, and we were able to use it for quite a few different months. And she, you know, worked with me on it that day, and I was just amazed at each product that she put on. My skin was like a sponge. I could feel my skin was so thirsty and needing nutrition. And so, like Art says, we're working from the inside out and the outside in now. And it's really important, but it's just been a phenomenal product. I've really enjoyed it, and people have really said that they've really seen a big change in my skin over the last year. And I think the longer you're on these products and the longer you use this on your skin, the better it gets. And also, you know, I don't know about you gals, if you haven't got those brushes and for $40, I mean, I've looked at brushes, and one brush can be like $22, $25, $28 for one small brush. Beverly Hollister has these most beautiful brushes for $40 for 4 of them. So that's a phenomenal price. And
yeah, we'll show these a little bit later, Terry. Yeah.
Okay, and of course we're coming out with the family line at convention, which I think is going to be phenomenal. So yeah, this product is truly amazing. And you know, we're changing people's lives. Like take the teenagers, you know, that have a lot of acne problems or eczema or anything that is really a rash type of thing on the body. You know, people are using this. Elderly people using this on their psoriasis and their, you know, skin disorders. So it's just been a really great product, really been working great with all of our people.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Terry. And so what is Glimpse, you know? And there's lots of ways to describe Glimpse and what's so special about it. But the way I like to describe it is this. They finally figured out a way to get those same xanthones from the mangosteen fruit that are creating miracles inside the body so that we can put them on the outside of the body in a topical skin nutrition program. And one of the key ingredients is, of course, the xanthone complexes. We're calling it the bioactive X3 complexes of xanthones that we've been able to pull from the mangosteen fruit using a patent-pending biofermentation process to pull it out without any kind of chemicals and toxins. So you have these really potent active nutrients within the Glimpse program. Active ingredients have been studied. We've got gentle cold processing and so on here. And, you know, this is a thing that I didn't realize or didn't know anything about prior to getting involved in Glimpse was really the number of toxic chemicals in their personal care products. The fact is the cosmetic industry, I got bad news for you, is not regulated. There is no one regulating the cosmetic industry and what you put on your skin. The industry itself has its own watchdog group, but there is no independent government agency that is paying any attention to what goes into cosmetics, and it's just amazing what we've been learning about it. And some of these ingredients are definitely linked to things that you don't want to happen to your body. So we have a non-toxic skin nutrition program that works with Glimpse, and it's phenomenal. You really want to throw all the rest of that stuff out that you've got. So listen, we've got there's Terry. We've got a guest on here, and I thought it's great to have a man talking about Glimpse and some of the results that he's get. And so I've got a great picture here of Ed Scott from Oregon, Portland, Oregon. How you doing, Ed?
I'm fine, Art. How are you?
Good. So there's that boat you've been telling me about.
That's the one.
So, Ed, let's talk about Glimpse. How long have you been on it, and what was your experience?
Well, I've been on it about, 2.5 months probably. But the big experience, Art, was that, from about 15 years old, and that's been a long time back, I spent probably at least 50% of my time in my bathing suit, either in or on top of the water. sailing, swimming, water skiing, whatever. And, that was way back before we knew anything at all about skin damage from the sun. And so I just soaked it up and had a great tan all the time, and everything was cool until I got older and realized what all this had done to me. So I've had but quite a lot of skin repair. I've had a couple of things surgically taken off. Fortunately, they were benign. But here a while back, and I've always had just a lot of these skin things popped up and had been with me, some of which they could get off, and finally they decided they couldn't take them all off. So
yeah, they're calling these skin tags. Is that right? Or?
Yeah. And, my doctor just finally said, you might as well live with it. We can't take them all off. You've got tons of them. So then a couple of them showed up when my barber was working, and he noticed I had a couple on each side of my head, right about where my glasses are. And he commented, you had to go in and have your dermatologist take a look at that. And I was going to, but about that time the glimpse showed up at my door. And I went ahead and used it, and used it to shave with, like you suggested. And, I don't know, a week or so later, I realized those skin tags were gone.
Wow.
Up in my hairline. And that was a really surprise so quickly. And then I got to thinking, I've got a really bad one that they've tried to take off twice and been unsuccessful. On the inside of my forearm and right side, it's probably 3/8 of an inch across and probably 1/16 at least inch deep, and it was really ugly. And then from about above my wrist all the way down to my finger, down to my knuckles, I've had a lot of aging spots, and I just figured, 78 years old, I guess that's okay, I'll live with those. But I rubbed on this thing on my arm, and I should have taken pictures, but I had no idea it would be so quick. It was only about 2 days, and it was starting to leave. And the dermatologist had been unable to freeze it off.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and then as I was working on that, I thought, well, so I started putting it on my hands. I have no more brown aging spots on my hands, my arms, and that's gone. So I can't say enough about Glimpse. I use it all the time, and everything is perfect.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for that, Ed. Great story. And Terry got rid of 2 out of the 3 ones that she had on her chest in Orlando. The other one's about 80% gone, these little things that grow. So Glimpse is very good for that. Thanks a lot, Ed Scott from Oregon, for coming on. Let's see now. Yes, do you happen to know anyone who is tired, stressed, or depressed? It's funny. We do a lot of calls all week long, and when I'm talking to new people that don't know anything about Xango, I ask them that question, and they all break out laughing. Yeah, just about everybody, right? And so this is really our Category 3 product that was just introduced last month in September, called Elaviv. A phenomenal product for anyone that would like to feel great again. It's an all-natural product that addresses metabolic balance for optimal vigor. Yes, you've heard that word already, which it really has to do with physical energy, mental acuity, and emotional well-being. Wow, if we could get those 3 things, wouldn't we be in good shape? And yes, notice phenomenal results with this long-lasting, all-day-long energy, and really a phenomenal product. So we've got some great guests lined up for this. Let's see who. Cass, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Cass, 20K from the UK. How are you doing, Cass?
Very well, thank you. Very well, thank you. Great stories. Isn't it wonderful to hear people's stories?
There's nothing like it. So what was your experience with Elaviv, Cass?
Well, I've been taking Elaviv for about 4 weeks now. First of all, I felt strangely just lighter and relaxed and sort of unhurried. And I'm a person who I have a tendency to do a lot and be very, very busy and have difficulty relaxing normally. So this was a great feeling, and I started getting that after about quite quickly. It's the same as I had with the juice after about 10 days of taking it, but more pronounced. And I guess we get sort of used to different levels of stress. So, as we get older, too, we face new challenges. So what I was really hoping to get from El Aviv was that sort of sense of joy and excitement and you know, expectation and all that sort of thing that you got when you were younger. And you know, it's amazing because it sort of grows on you in the same way as the juice did. It's sort of like you start realizing these things, and you don't notice it. It's not sort of sometimes so spectacular because we get used to the way that we're feeling so quickly.
Right.
And you know, and my son asked me the other day to sit down on his, you know, I bought him a new bed and stuff like that, which also things like that you do, you know, and to relax with him instead of sort of, you know, getting up and running about the house and tidying up and, you know, getting things done before getting into my Xango work. And so, you know, normally I would say, no, I got to do this, I got to do the other, I got to, and instead of resisting, I sort of agreed. And, you know, he sort of jumped up and he ran downstairs and came back with a tray of breakfast for me and a really big smile and really, really pleased that I was, you know, doing this with him. And I even sat down and watched a film with him before I got up. And it sort of, when I did get up, it was like the whole house had just sort of melted away. All the, you know, whatever the mess was I had to do, all those things were just easy to do. And I just, you know, got it all done in sort of very much more manageable portions, and then afterwards I just got into my Xango, you know, day and worked along great. And then the other thing that happened was I noticed that what happened was if I was sitting around, if I did sit down and relax, which is what I was beginning to do more, I started noticing that I'd fall asleep. I'd feel sleepy. And I started thinking, something's wrong here. And then I listened to a conference call on the Radio Co-op with Dr. Talbot. And he said that it can make, you know, people were asking this question, and he said that it can make people feel sleepy because we aren't used to being relaxed, and we often confuse it with being tired.
Wow.
So he suggested taking 2 tablets before going to bed, and that worked perfectly. And I mean, it's been absolutely brilliant. And so, you know, and I sleep wonderfully. I wake up in the morning, I feel fantastic. And I mean, my daughter just got married the other day, and in Italy. And normally that would have just, you know, oh my God! I mean, it would have been a logistic nightmare and all sorts of things. And it just all went perfectly. Everything was fine. And people kept asking me, you know, aren't you tired? You know, and all this sort of thing. And I just stood around and say, no, I never get tired. And I said, wow. I said, I don't ever get tired. And you know, I may get sleepy if I take the Xango during the daytime, because I relax too much. But since I take it at night, I'm sleeping through the night anyway, and I wake up in the morning just feel great.
That's funny, Cass. You know, I mean, if you're used to being completely stressed out and suddenly you're relaxed, I can see why people might feel a little bit tired. And what's wrong with having a nap if you're tired? You know, maybe your body is needing some extra rest. And it is, of course, an adjustment period, and everybody needs to experiment with that product. I think you've got a little story on the pericarp oil before we jump on to the next guest, right?
Well, yes. I also want to thank you. I mean, I just very quickly to say, you know, thank you so much for everybody for introducing me to this absolutely amazing product, which has just completely changed my life and helped many friends and members of my family in particular. But the one about the pericarp oil, I mean, the pericarp oil is just simply amazing. And my grandson had pneumonia this summer. He's only a little bit older than a year old, and he suffers from allergies, and he had all sorts of horrible problems. And he was, you know, when I got there, he was snuffling, and he was in a terrible state. And his ears were hurting him really, really badly, and they had taken him to the hospital because he'd actually been bleeding from his ears. And they'd given him something to stop it, but he was, you know, he kept rubbing his ears. He was in pain. He couldn't sleep, you know, and he was just in a terrible state. So I suggested putting some drops of pericarp oil in his ears, and we did that, and he just like slept right through the night. And then after about 24 hours, we started noticing that his snuffles started to disappear, and then, you know, it just got better and better and better. He just kept on putting the pericarp oil in his ears every night, and I did give him Xango as well. And he just changed into a happy, playful chap in a couple of days. And now, you know, it's just amazing what it's done for him. And
wow.
It was great to see too, because when you can help a little baby like that, earache is the worst thing in the world. You can imagine how awful it is, and just to think that's when it went in there, and of course because it goes into the body through the ears and things, it's all attached, isn't it? It's just amazing.
Well,
one other thing, can I tell you one other thing? That happened, which is good as well for people who wound themselves. I put some pericarp oil on a wound I got from pinching my fingers in a ladder, and it actually took a chunk out of my finger, and it was very deep, and sort of V-shaped, and it was very, very painful. And I just poured some drops of pericarp oil on my finger, and it just stopped hurting almost instantaneously. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's like our magic potion, isn't it, Cass?
Yeah, it's like the healing brush in Photoshop.
All right, well, thanks a lot for that, Cass. Great stories, and congratulations on all the different ways you found out to use the pericarp oil. We're going to bring on our next guest, Carol Huggins. Are you there, Carol?
Hi, I'm here.
How you doing, Carol?
Well, I'm doing terrific today.
Well, listen, let's talk about just your little story of El Aviv, right?
Yes. Well, actually, it's El Aviv plus the juice.
Go ahead, yes.
Well, I was born in Northern California, north of Sacramento, and I was raised in farming community. My husband and I then, in the 70s, sold everything and moved to the land of milk and honey in North Idaho, Montana-Canadian border, cut down our own trees and built a home, and then we had an insurance agency, and then I went into real estate, which is where I met my good friend Eva Marie.
Right, okay.
In Sandpoint, Idaho. Okay, so I always had lots of energy. I was jumping into my car and showing property and then working on the computer every night, and I was just used to, I'd used natural products since the 60s, so I just had a ton of energy. And then one day I sold a client her dream 20 acres with a log home and a creek running through it, and bam, we were rear-ended by a Mack truck. And, well, you can imagine my neck, my back, head injury, joint pain, everything, and then I fell off an embankment and I broke my leg. I was wondering if I had a target painted on me. And so during that time then, of course, I got so bad I couldn't do real estate, and so I became disabled, and the doctors put me on pain meds, and I mean, I've been on just the really big bad stuff, and then of course the arthritis comes, and the depression, restless leg syndrome and allergies, and my immune system then shut down, I think, with all the meds and everything. If I didn't take Red Bull, 2 or 3 of them a day, I couldn't even get to my doctor appointments. Well, Eva called me, and it was just not long after I'd been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue and all the other things that go along with it, and I was pretty much bedridden for the last 5 years, sleeping and not being able to do anything, using a wheelchair or, stay calm, cane. And my friend Eva said, you know what, I was looking in my daytimer, and your number was there. And she decided to call me. That was in June, and she said, I want you to be a trial in this thing. I don't even know what it's supposed to do, but I know you've been so sick and everything. I wonder if it would help you. And so she sent it to me. I mean, I knew my body was dying. I couldn't get better, and I tried everything. I needed a miracle. Well, I started the trial June 25th, and I started with 2 X51s, or El Aviv, you call it now. And the very first morning after, my fibro fog, I noticed, was a lifting. I was making to-do notes, for heaven's sakes. And I slept through the night, that first night, no Ambien. I tried, and then from now on, I haven't used Ambien. I ran out in 3 weeks, and oh my goodness, I'm calling and begging, please, 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 get me some.
Can I have some more?
We all did that. So she did. She got me enough until I got and man, I ordered a lot on when they let it be ordered, because I did not ever want to run out ever again.
Wow.
This was my first flicker of hope that maybe I would get my life back. I'd given up because I'd been to doctors, I'd been everything. I'd had a heart attack, and I have 2 stents put in the last 2 Christmases, and just a lot of things. I mean, I'm a major extreme case here.
Yeah, you are, Carol, but you're going to get through it, girl.
Oh man, I know it. I mean, I am singing a happy song. The flares have almost are non-existent. My neck pain, back pain, joint pain, acid reflux, sleeping through the night, for heaven's sakes. I didn't even ask for that.
Yeah.
What a blessing. And then now I've settled into what works for me is I started in then on the Xango juice. And I noticed that together it really just changed me with the energy. I was getting, lots of good stuff from the El Aviv. But all of a sudden there was a synergism that happened, and that's what they say. I started having this great energy and hope, and I started singing again, and my depression was gone. I'm off of so many ugly pills. It's just wonderful. And so now I take 2 ounces of the juice 3 times a day with meals, and I've settled into 2 El Aviv in the morning with breakfast and 2 at noon, and that seems to work for me.
Wow, great story.
It settled my stress, and all my pain, and I just want to thank Eva Marie and Yvonne for thinking of me, because I am up and out, and all my friends and neighbors just are so excited for me.
Wow. Well, we just want to thank you so much for sharing your story. This is what these products are all about. It's about changing people's lives and helping people like you. So thank you so much for saying yes to Eva Marie, because it can be life-changing, and you were ready for a change for sure. Thanks so much.
And we will see you at the convention.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Okay, thanks a lot, Carol. Incredible story. Now we have Kisa on here. Are you there, Kisa?
Yes, I am, Art. Hello.
How are you doing? I've been hearing about you over the years from Yvonne.
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Yeah, so you're a recent trial user of El Aviv.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. What's been your experience? What were you dealing with before, and how's it helped you?
Okay, I have Parkinson's. I've had it for almost 13 years. And as Parkinson's progresses, you get more and more. I was having insomnia. I was taking naps 2 or 3 times a day. And I didn't realize it, but I was depressed. I just didn't feel like going anywhere, doing anything. Nothing made me laugh. Nothing made me cry. I was just nothing. And a couple of weeks ago, my father, who is Yvonne, and his wife, Eva Marie, called and said they have a new product they wanted me to try, and I've tried it, and I cannot tell you the turn. I had no energy before. My life has completely changed. I went down to San Diego last week and helped my younger sister move, which was a heck of a chore, but it was funny because I was working, we were packing some things. All of a sudden I looked at the clock and it was about 10:30 at night. I said, good Lord, I haven't stayed up this late in years.
Wow.
This has made such a huge difference. I feel more aware of things. My brain seems sharper. It's just amazing, really amazing. And I also drink the juice 3 times a day, 2 ounces, and I've been doing that for a long time.
Well, thanks a lot, Kisa. Really, it's just hard for people listening to really understand what it's like now for you with your life.
It's such a difference. It's made such a huge difference not having to take a nap, because it was taking me all day just to do something like clean my living room. You know what I mean? Now I get up in the morning, I clean my living room, I clean my kitchen, I clean my bedroom. It's all before noon, and that's amazing for me.
Well, thanks a lot, Kisa, for coming on and
thank you for having me.
And so many blessings on our journey here. Just hearing your story just touches my heart. Well, okay, so we've been hearing about this pericarp oil. What is the pericarp oil? Let's have a little bit of description. Pericarp oil is a xanthone complex, a pure xanthone complex in its purest form that we have figured out that way that I was telling you about to pull it out of the mangosteen fruit. The pericarp oil is one of the complexes that is within Glimpse in the rest of the Glimpse product, but it is the one that we use as our secret weapon, Terry. And I know you love the pericarp oil, and we use it for all kinds of things, right?
Oh, I tell you, it's. We've had so many different little things, whether it was a burn. Our daughter is a chef, and she actually takes her little bottle with her because she knows that if she cuts her finger or whatever, she can use that pericarb oil right away. I actually had a wasp sting the last weekend out on the deck, and I couldn't believe it. He was in my hair, and I went to move my hair, and there he was. He stung me. And they're supposed to be asleep, of course, but it was a very warm day that day, and so he came out, and he got my hand. And so off I went to get the pericarb oil, and you can't imagine what that stuff is like when you put it on, and it's able to soothe whatever problem you've got. So it is truly a little magical bottle.
Hey, Eva, I think you've got a story about the pericarp oil, right?
Yeah, it's called liquid gold is what it is. You know, I just love these stories. And to give people joy in life. Isn't that a wonderful business we're in? How could we not love being involved in Xango?
Yeah.
Well, I had an experience with the pericarb oil. We use it. I use it on my skin. I just feel it's an absolutely phenomenal product. And, of course, we are a category creator. We are the ones first to the market with all these products. No one else has it. But we went out to Whidbey Island, and we had dinner and a wonderful evening. It was my birthday, and feeling very good. And it was a big house overlooking a cliff, and went out the back door, and it was sort of an uneven road, and I had high heels, and I twisted my ankle. And went to the doctor the next day, and they took some x-ray, and they found out I chipped my bone as well. So now I'm in a walking cast. And, of course, when you have twist your ankle like that, all of a sudden you turn black and blue all over, right? So Yvonne started putting the pericarb oil all over my ankle, and it was just amazing. We can't believe how quickly the bruising went away. It was, I've never seen anything like it. It was like within 3 days there was no bruise. And Yvonne even inspected it. I think he almost put the magnifying glass to see if he could find anything.
Sounds like Yvonne.
Yes, Yvonne, the scientist, So it was gone. It's amazing. I don't have any pain. It almost feels like it's healed already, and I still have to have this walking cast on for the next 4 weeks. But
actually, your doctor's been commenting on it as well, right?
He did. When, of course, when we got back from Whidbey Island, I went to the emergency, and they took pictures, and then they bound me up there. And then 3 days later, I went to the doctor, and he said, wow, he said, you hardly have any swelling. He said, this is amazing. He had another guy come in who had hurt himself exactly the same day and similar. And he said his leg was all swollen. It was huge. He said, I've never seen anything like it. So
wow.
That was thrilling, And, of course, we drink the juice 3 times a day faithfully. We're always at the end of the month scrambling for more juice because we just love it. And the 365 and the Glimpse, and we are so grateful for all these products.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it, Eva? And I've got a picture here from one of our previous calls of Willie Jackson, who got a severe burn. He suffered on July 12th, used the pericarp oil he got in Las Vegas, and that burn, which is in day 2 here to day 12 down here at the bottom, is almost gone. So it definitely is our secret weapon. Roger Hawkins, I know Roger from Canada, and with his problems with his feet, this skin condition, completely gone. You see this nasty stuff on his feet, gone within 11 days. His doctor could not believe it, he said. So phenomenal. And then, of course, Terry, just the latest product that we released as part of the Glimpse line, and here are those brushes you were talking about, is our mineral treatment product. Remember I was talking about all the toxins in personal care products? I got news for you. A lot of your makeup that you're putting on are full of toxins. And so, here we have people putting on this non-toxic Glimpse, and putting all of this good stuff on their body and then slathering toxins on top. So we had to come out with a solution to that. And this is a phenomenal product line here of of minerals. Terry, what do you think of that?
Yeah, if you gals have not got this yet, you have to get this. And the thing that I love is, of course, those brushes, but the minerals, you guys, what I've actually done is I ordered all 4, of course, and I've actually mixed the colors to what I want. Because as you know, in the wintertime, you don't have much of a suntan and might need or want a little color. And then in the summertime, you have a suntan and you don't need the darkness. So I've actually taken all 4 of those and I've blended and made my own little blend out of it to get what will work for my face. And so I encourage you all to get that instead of using all of those chemicals and that liquid stuff. You guys, that stuff is so hard. It seals your face so badly that your cells can't breathe. And so this powder has just been an amazing thing that Beverly has come out with. She's a brilliant lady.
Well, thanks a lot for that, Terry. One more guest on here that we've saved here to the end, Trish Ryan from Edmonton, Canada. How you doing, Trish? That's you on the left over here with Krista and Deb and Gary Pazzo. How you doing, Trish?
I'm doing well. I'm kind of wishing I wasn't at the very end. Getting a little nervous, but that's okay.
You always do so great, and you have a phenomenal story of what's going on in your life. And in fact, I guess I talked about you at last convention, really, if we really think about it, right? And so, why don't you just talk about your story and what the juice has done for you, and so on, and then maybe we'll hear a little bit about Claire at the end.
Okay, sounds good, Art. Thank you very much. As you kind of alluded to, Art, we were introduced to Xango at probably one of the darkest times in our lives. We had just moved to a new community about 6 weeks before our son had gone into the end stages of actually kidney failure. We never, ever knew a thing. We assumed that he had had the flu, and we just kind of wondered why he wasn't, picking up again. He had had a very bad nosebleed through the night, and we found him in the morning, and it was scary enough. It was just very scary, and it had left him weak. And so we thought, okay, it's time to go to the emergency room. And over the course of that one day, he ended up in seizures. He was intubated, and he went into a coma. And we went on to spend about the next 4 weeks in hospital with him that first time. Half of that was in the pediatric intensive care here at the Stollery in Edmonton. I remember he had so many tubes in him that I could only find one little ankle that was tube-free, and I just kept rubbing it to kind of let him know that I was there. But in all reality, I think I was reminding myself that he was still here with me too. And, this experience has changed me. It's forever altered the way that I think and approach life. I've always wanted my kids, to have the best possible childhood. But living in that heaviness for so long, I just saw over and over again, being in that hospital, how many kids don't have that luxury of a childhood. And I got really angry, not at God, but at the lie that seemed to be winning. That the doubt, the fear, the thing that whispers that you have no right to hope for better, no right to expect that every child would be allowed to just be a kid, to run and play and enjoy their innocence. And so I walked the halls of that hospital and asked 1,000 questions that all boiled down to one burning desire, and that was really just to fight for my family and fight for the other families that were in battles of their own. And so I remember, back to those days, I lived in a constant struggle to kind of not let this darkness overtake us. I did battle with fear and shock and despair, almost just moment by moment. I very much lived in right now. Okay, right now, nobody's dead. Okay, we're okay. We're just going to keep pushing through. We came home a full month after what I thought was going to be a quick emergency room visit. And we came home, of course, with Tristan on peritoneal dialysis every night. And it was 2 weeks after that surreal homecoming that Xango was brought into our lives. I just believe that this was very much a divine appointment. There he was in a strange city taking care of my son in ways that, I mean, I am not into any kind of nursing and all this stuff. And there was a lot of intricacies to his care. And I see this ad in a Christian women's magazine, and it says, homeschool mom gets a big raise. And I've homeschooled my kids always. My oldest is 17, and for the most part, they haven't been to school. And I thought, boy, if there was ever a time that we didn't need to worry about finances, now is it. I didn't know, I knew Tristan literally needed a truckload of medical supplies every month. And I didn't know if we were going to have to pay for those, if we were, how we were going to. And I thought, okay, I need some help here. So I called this number, and who calls me back but a beautiful woman, a Christian dialysis social worker. She knew exactly what it was that we were facing, and she had me from the moment that she said, Trish, I think you're going to want to know that this company gives 7% to children's charities, and one of them is the Children's Organ Transplant Fund. And it was probably the strangest three-way or three-step plan call that Mary Lou has ever done, but I burst into tears. And I hung up the phone that day, and I remember saying to Glenn, I don't know what this is, but I'm doing it. and it has just turned into such a blessing for us. For the next 2 years, we spent most of our days tied to the hospital, and so we did Xango in every spare moment. It was like the bright spot in our day. The Stollery and Tristan's team of healthcare workers were our lifeline, and I remember thinking how odd it was that I felt more at home and knew more people in that hospital than I did anywhere else. So I started prospecting at every clinic and appointment. And, Tristan's primary care dialysis nurse was my fastest sponsorship ever because she had seen the excellent measure of health that we were given, even with him being on dialysis. I remember taking him in to a clinic appointment 4 days after he had fallen on a treadmill and scraped the majority of skin off of his back. This was before we had the pericarp oil. We were just pouring juice over the child's back. And they could not get over how quickly and how well his back was healing. They just thought for sure we were mixed up about, the timing of it. And in all of the time, in the whole year that he was on dialysis, the only infection he ever got was as a result of doing too many cartwheels. I mean, he did so well. After about a year, again on dialysis, I was blessed to be able to give Tristan one of my kidneys. And today, amazingly enough, Tristan's biggest challenge is trying to figure out just how to do normal. We have so much to be thankful for. And I know that Xango was brought into our lives just at the time that we needed it the most. We needed the financial blessing, and Xango's got that covered. I needed the mental clarity just to be able to get through all of the daily tasks that were involved in his care. And again, Xango's got that covered even more now with El Aviv. We all needed the immune support because, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but when you're on that kind of peritoneal dialysis, if someone has a cold or a flu in the home, that can lead to a life-threatening infection.
Right.
But again, that was all covered through Xango. Today, after transplant, the gentle immune support has continued to be, such a blessing for him. In fact, Tristan gets to go to kidney camp every summer, and it's a camp that the two hospitals in Alberta here get together and put on. And as it would happen, there was an outbreak of the swine flu in one of the hospitals, and some of the nurses came down with the swine flu that were supposed to be there caring for the kids. So here they are, a camp full of immune-suppressed children and a swine flu outbreak, But he came home, I'm signing all these papers, and he's, touting his Xango bottle because he didn't leave home without it. He takes his meds with it every day. Yeah, and he never got it. I just said, okay, Tristan, just drink more juice,
Wow, phenomenal.
Yeah, so every single thing, that we might have been facing as a result of the negative effects of the meds that, yes, he still has to be on. We don't ever expect them to be a problem. There, things like high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high cholesterol. These are all things that Xango addresses. So,
well, thanks a lot for that, Tricia. It's an incredible journey that you've been on, an incredible story. And
Trish, this is Terry. I mean, for all of you out there, where Tricia's been and where she's come from is just an amazing story. We have actually been able to witness and watch Trish grow as a leader, and she does the Smart Track thing for her group. And I'll tell you, I've been on 2 of her Smart Track calls, and they're just phenomenal. I mean, what a great leader that you truly are, Trish, because of your experience that you've had to endure with your family, and you've had to step up and step out. And we just so appreciate you. But I know you've got another great story to share.
Yeah, we're going to run a little over time. If you could just kind of make it short, Trish, and if those of you can hang in there a little bit, there's one more story that Trish wants to tell. The lady could not get on the call today. Go ahead, Trish.
Okay, yeah, I have a good friend, Claire. I've known her for a long time, probably, about 16 years. And the whole experience with Tristan really brought Claire even closer to my heart, because as much as I have seen difficulty over the last couple of years, I knew that Claire has been living with health challenges and huge difficulty for the last 20-some years. She has 4 kids. She's a homeschool mom as well. 2 of her kids have autism. And, she's explained it to me that when someone is struggling with huge challenges like this, it's almost, you get to the point where you feel afraid to hope. But her reading our story and how things were going, she said, okay, well, I'll just give it a try just for you, Trish, and we'll go from there and see what happens. And I remember calling her, and nothing seemed to be happening, until about the 3rd week in. She started to notice, just like has already been shared on the call today, she started to notice more eye contact with her boys. And then she noticed that they were starting to sleep better. In all this time, can you imagine, she had never been able to sleep more than about half an hour at a time.
Wow.
Because her boys had such trouble with sleeping. Now they're able to sleep about sometimes 5 or 6 hours a night, and she's just amazed. And
this is all from the juice, right?
Yes, she right now she has them on 2 ounces 4 times a day, and they have gone from being, practically nonverbal to one day they were just sitting at a table about 4 weeks into the juice experience, and her oldest, her and her husband had been sitting and talking about taking the other 2 kids to the movie, and her oldest looked up at them and said, I want to go to the movie. And he had never spoken more than 1 or 2 words at a time before that point.
Wow.
The next day, her younger son, who's 12, reached up, gave her a hug, and said, love you, Mom. And she hadn't heard anything from him before that point. She said that it has just been such a huge blessing for them. She feels that she's always loved her kids, but now, thanks to Xango, she's getting to know them.
Wow.
They're laughing. I remember her telling me about a trip to the grocery store with her oldest, and she said he even seemed so happy and proud at how normal he was being. He wasn't, she's seen a great reduction. He has OCD tendencies as well, and there's been a great reduction in that. He's doing Special Olympics and music therapy, and before this, he didn't want anything to do with anyone or anything. So it's just been a huge blessing for them.
Well, we're so grateful. Thanks a lot for that, Trish. Great story of Claire. Maybe one day she'll come on and tell the story herself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks so much, Claire, or Trish, and do thank Claire for us. We so appreciate you.
Thank you, Terry.
Great story, and thanks a lot, Trish, for all that you do. Yes, we're running a little over time. There is one other product we haven't really talked much about, Xango 365. I've known for a long time that most of the vitamins that you're taking are wasted, and they end up even on the bottom of septic systems. I mean, that's been reported all over the place. Your body is designed to get its nutrition for food, and 365 is our nutritional product. And so that covers all the bases. This is your core nutrition. This is the nutrients you need every day. There's a men's product, a woman's product. We take these every day, 12 fruits and vegetables and other things. So that comes with that's your vitamins, and you got your anti-inflammatory with the mangosteen, something to help you feel good again. And phenomenal products, including Xango's Goodness Meal Pack here, which we donate a lot to this every single month, which is a meal pack for starving children that you can actually, for $90, put 35 meals into the hands of children that might not make it through the night. I mean, we're talking about emergency situation here. There's still 6 million children a year that die from starvation. It's amazing. And so this is a product, actually, that we have. I believe we're up around 600,000 or 700,000 meals have been donated already. So thank you all for coming on the call today. Just heartwarming to hear all of those stories. And I know we ran over time, but let's open up the lines. And I'd like you to just give a cheer or thank you for all of those great guests that came on and shared their hearts today. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.